fun so far, yeah? That's great, I'm glad to hear it. Well, my name is Simmel. I'm the con chair for Everfree 2021. And welcome to Hot Pepper Reviews. Has anyone been to this panel in previous years?
No.
Okay, good. So we have a few daring souls returning once again. So the way this panel works is fairly simple. It's very straightforward. The idea is you're going to pick an episode of MLP. You're going to give a synopsis of that episode and your own impression of it. Review it, basically. Pretend you're a movie reviewer and give your honest opinion of it, give a summary of the plot, all that sort of thing. But the catch is, before you do that, you're going to eat a very hot pepper. And it's really funny. So that's the main idea here. The way this is going to work for signups, just because I want to make it fairly clear here, the peppers we have are 2 options. And I only have 10 of them, so we're not going to be able to do like everyone in this room. But we have 2 options for peppers. The first being jalapenos. These nice green ones here. I have 3 of these. Consider these easy mode. And then the true challenge are these orange ones. Does anyone know what these are? Habaneros. That's right. These are dangerously hot. But again, it depends on your own tolerance for spice. Not everyone is the same. But this is the hottest pepper that our board president allowed me to go. A lot of people have asked, hey, when are we going to do ghost peppers? What about Carolina Reapers? We're not going to do that.
You have to sign NDA for that.
Oh, you have to sign an NDA anyway.
You have to sign all the paperwork for that.
Not an NDA, but release of liability. So the way that we're going to sign up, if you'd like to participate, is I have some liability waivers here. To be clear, these are very hot. So if you want to participate, you're more than welcome to, but I want you to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. The habaneros particularly, I mean, I like spicy food. I have my own tolerance level. These are too much for me. So keep that in mind. If you really like very, very, very hot spicy food, you think you can handle it, go for it. But keep that in mind. You've been warned. So the way this is going to work, I'm going to have this stack. I think there's only about 15 of these. We're only going to use 10 anyway. So what I will do is I'm going to set a stack over here. And if you guys could pick one up, use a pen to sign it. It's very quick. And then I'll be shuffling all of those. And we're just going to go from that stack that way. When you complete the pepper challenge, I do have some cups of milk here. And you will be able to drink a cup of milk. Milk, just so you know, is a much better effective means at arresting spiciness than water is. Water tends to just spread the capsaicin around and sometimes actually make it worse. Milk is colloidal. There's a lot of fats floating around there in suspension that help isolate the heat. My recommendation is savor the milk. Don't guzzle it all at once. Keep it in your mouth, kind of like swish it around a little bit. Like mouthwash. That's kind of gross, actually. It's that analogy, but something like that. Just use your milk slowly, because when it's gone, it's gone. I see we have some questions. Yeah.
Do you have to eat the whole pepper, or can you just like eat as much as you can take?
Eat as much as you can take. I don't want if you can tell like, oh, this is going to be bad. I don't want you to go overboard. But I encourage everyone to do their best. Try what you can. Yes.
Can deliberately taking water after eating the pepper be considered a difficulty tweak?
That's an interesting take on that, I suppose. I don't see why not.
Bonus false material.
And then we have one more. Yeah.
Do you have any like vegan milk?
I don't. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I only have whole milk. I don't have any vegan or non-dairy substitutes, unfortunately.
I'll just take the spice then.
Yes. So it's not really about winning. It's more about making a fool of yourself on stage. So there's no prizes or anything. This is literally just for fun. A lot of people enjoy this kind of thing for some strange reason. I don't really understand, but it's good comedy. So that's why we're here. Yeah.
Yeah, are YouTube reviewers excluded, or can we still participate?
Oh, yeah, you can absolutely participate. Please do. So when you've completed your form, just bring it up here to me, and I'll have it here on the table. And we'll try and get through this here. So just because I know some people were closer to the stack when I put it there, I will be shuffling these first, and then we'll be going from the top. So I do apologize if we don't get to everybody. Yes?
Like 2 years before the whole COVID thing, did we review the pepper too, or is it just a?
You can give your honest assessment of the pepper if you would like. Up to you. Again, this is not a judge thing.
I don't believe how difficult it was to get here in time for this because the bridge was out.
The bridge? Which bridge?
Oh, I forget which, but it's
The floating bridge?
there was one bridge. I don't know which one it is.
Alright, were you coming from Seattle?
Yeah, I was coming from Seattle.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Are we going to drink like 15 milk while eating the pepper?
No, you get, the milk is your reward for making it through your review, but I'll hard limit it to 5 minutes. So either you finish that or 5 minutes elapses and then you get the milk. If you really, really, really need to tap out, I'm not going to be exhibit. I'll let you have the milk. But it's a challenge. Let's see how far we can get. So we'll let's keep going. And how about if you guys wouldn't mind actually having the line go along that wall? That way we can get started and we won't be obstructing anyone's view. Yes?
Is equestrian girls fair game? Because, you know.
We can do that. I would be opposed to that. This is a very loosely structured panel.
Okay.
Yes?
Not to remind people not to touch sensitive areas.
Yeah, that's a good reminder as well. When you, the juices from these peppers will get on your hands. Make sure you don't touch your eyes or anything like that. Make sure you wash your hands afterwards before you go to the bathroom. Anything like that. You don't want any mishaps. Yes?
I was just going to make a little comment. I didn't know you can take as much of a bite as you wanted. Like, could a small bite count?
You could take a small bite. I would encourage, I mean, I've had people come up here and they eat the entire thing, like other than the stem. Don't eat the stem. But take what you can handle.
Let's just say I'm a picky eater.
Gotcha. Okay, so one other thing, the way this is going to work is when I bring you up here, you're going to be standing up here. Is this wrong? Yes, it is. So this is where you're going to be giving your review, an honest open assessment of your episode, summary of the plot, all of that. This bucket is here for you to spit into if you need to. Please aim. I would really appreciate that. I think the hotel would too, and our AV people would as well. Okay, so we've got a few more people filtering through here. I think we're going to get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull up the Wikipedia list of episodes so that we can give an assessment. You're welcome to choose whatever episode you want. If you have like a favorite, that would be great. I want to try and avoid duplicates. So if an episode has already been taken, see if you can choose a different one. Okay. And these are first come, first serve for your choice of which pepper you want to use. I have pre-washed and dried these. Okay. So I'm going to shuffle these up just a little bit here. Thank you. And so we're almost through the line, so that's perfect. I apologize in advance if I mispronounce anyone's name as I read these. Okay, so you guys ready to get started? Yeah. All right, let's eat some hot peppers. So, by random chance, the one at the top of my list is Mr. Left Turn. Hey, right here, perfect. Yeah, come on up. You're gonna stand here next to me.
Can I place like this on the table?
Yeah. Oh, here, mind the table as well. We don't want to spill. So, yeah, align that however you need. It might be better to do it on that table. Yeah.
That's a little
Okay. What sort of pepper would you like?
Jalapeno, please.
Okay, so go ahead and grab one of those. Don't need it yet. All right. Do you have an episode in mind?
Well, since this is a hot pepper review, I want to do a hot take. I want to do 2, 4, 6 great. Ooh, okay. Quick question though. Who here hates that episode? Like really hates it. Okay, you're gonna love this. I loved it.
Okay. All right. Also, yes, you may remove your mask to take the pepper. You don't have to try and like shove it through. That would be weird. Okay, so I'm gonna set a 5-minute timer on my phone. And when I say go ahead and take a big bite of that pepper, chew it up. Remember, if you spit, aim into your please. And move these over here before you backsplash. I might be in a splash somewhere, so don't worry. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's eat that pepper. Go. That was a nice audible crunch.
Delicious. Okay, so this episode is all about Rainbow Dash being forced to teach the students how to cheerlead when she wanted to teach the buckball team for the intramural buckball game between the Princess's School of Magic and Twilight School. Now, why I love this episode is because it's sort of a pseudo-sequel to Read It and Weep, where Rainbow learns that reading isn't just for idiots, it's for everyone. In this one, her horizons are expanded upon because she realizes that just because you hate something, it doesn't mean everybody hates it. And why I think this episode works is, for one, the students tell her off. Like, they actually tell her off at the end when they've had enough of her dismissal and laziness towards, cheerleading, instead of them just having to sit there and take it until another character tells Rainbow what she's doing is wrong. And with even her attempting to apologize at first, she's met with them turning their backs on her the way she did upon the first day, where she turned her back on them to watch the buckball practice. And the very idea that, just because she made some of them cry, which yes, was bad, I don't think that should make, what people are saying, that Rainbow's being a monster, or as Miss Anthropony said, Rainbow was worse than when T-Rex backstabbed Discord, which is just completely ridiculous. No, I just loved the idea of someone being so stuck in their ways, they really need just a slap across the face, like basically what Smolder did to her, and realize, hey, you can hate this. You can hate it as much as you want, but don't diss on your friends just because they like it. I mean, because
2 minutes, 30 seconds.
all right. Because that's not what friendship is about. And even then, at the end, Rainbow still doesn't like it, and she still doesn't understand cheerleading. But
That's some crisp crunching, it's like asthma.
But she still, when she finally realizes how much she hurt the students, she goes above and beyond to help them and cares more about their performance than the actual buckball game, which I thought was a great illustration of how far she came in that episode. And I just really like it when a character has to, do something they don't quite understand. Like, with Rainbow, she understands fans in the stands that are, cheering them on. She just didn't understand the need for a cheerleading squad, and I'll tell you why. There's a line in the episode where she says, no pony cares about cheerleading. That's why whenever the cheer squad comes on, everybody goes up to get a snack. That tells us Rainbow is that pony who gets up to go get a snack. Therefore, she misses the cheer squad, and that is why she does not understand their purpose and importance to bringing life into a game. And I say this as a NASCAR fan where there are no cheerleaders. It's the fans in the stands who are cheerleaders. And, I mean, all in all, yeah, Rainbow was kind of a jerk, but she learned why she was being a jerk, and she just was able to learn why she was wrong, and in a really organic way. It wasn't like she was forced to. She's so egocentric that she just needed that slap across the face that Smolder gave her. And, I mean, I don't mind characters having to
30 seconds. You don't have to fill it, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I ramble a lot in my videos.
No worries.
But all in all, in my rating system, I honestly think 2, 4, 6, and 8 is a green flag episode.
Awesome. How many out of 5 spicy peppers? How many spicy peppers is the episode?
5.
Awesome. All right. Here's our mission. Okay, up next, we're going to move along fairly quickly here. Jared Littman, come on up. Welcome. Would you like a habanero or jalapeno?
The spicier one, I guess.
Ooh, all right. This will be fun.
By the way, I have literally no spice tolerance at all, but extremely high pain tolerance.
Okay, we're going to need it. Grab one of those. And real quick, Lights on. More asthma for you guys. Awesome. Okay, so what episode would you like to review?
Definitely season 5, episode 9, Slice of Life, the best episode.
Oh, that was great. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
So basically, you're all in over some pretty well because it's flipping the meeting, but anyway, it's supposed to be Cranky and Matilda's wedding, but the invitations were made wrong because Derby or Muffins accidentally set it for the wrong day, having hired someone who isn't experienced with printing press. And anyways, so things start spiraling into chaos when the bugbear attacks the town and the main six are busy, so they can't normally help as they do when they usually magically fix everything. But, so, side characters have to step into the equation, and you get to see into the life of a lot of side characters that you normally don't get to see talk or do things, which I absolutely love, especially because a lot of my favorite characters are actually side characters. And you know, you get to see Dr. Who's like go to like a bowling tournament or whatever, which was completely hilarious. And you get to see DJ Punk and Octavia playing music together, which is awesome. I make pony remixes myself, so DJ Punk is my favorite. And you know, I'm gonna vibrate here. So pretty much by the end of the episode, everyone's ready for the wedding. There wasn't gonna be flowers or anything, but Derby stepped in and took some fireless fireworks, and everyone kind of just like worked to make things work. And Bonbon had to hide from the bugbear, but they were able to make it to the wedding in time because, you know, they're like, I don't have to do spoilers, obviously, right? It's a reviewing episode.
Yeah.
Because they're like a secret spy or whatever. And then they were able to make up with Lyra at the end after I lied. Basically, that's the synopsis of the episode. Now, this is what I think about the episode. Absolutely fantastic. Like, there are so many times where I'm completely like upset because certain characters get absolutely no screen time. Like Kieran's, for example. Like what? They got one episode, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Yeah, that really takes me off. But this episode is like they're obviously trying to make up for that. Like you even get to see Billy talk. Like whoever thought they were gonna get an opportunity, right? Like, if basically when I was watching through the show for the first time, and I got to season 5, I thought, okay, the show obviously, like I was one of those people who's like 1 through 4 is the best. Yeah, that's where it peaks, and that's where it comes out, or it all spirals into chaos. No, that's not my opinion anymore after this episode, because it showed me that they can be extremely creative after that effect. And they didn't need to use the main 6 that everyone knows and loves. They were able to do it with other characters as well. So, I'm kind of losing my mind here. I don't know if I've got anything to say, but out of 5 spicy peppers, what would I rate this episode? 10.
All right.
No milk.
Wow. All right, well done. Okay. Moving right along, we have Benjamin Chan. And which pepper would you prefer?
The spicy one.
Oh boy. I like that.
It's really spicy.
I'm going
Take your pick. Don't bite into it yet. By the way, if anyone does prefer sitting, we can do that too. Just let me know another time.
Right.
I think I'll go with this.
Okay. So, what episode are you going through again?
So I think with spicy peppers, we're going to do spice up your life, and I'm going to roast it. So why not? Maximum spicy, and I came prepared because I think this isn't hot enough. So
I need some hot sauce.
going to dip it in hot sauce and then dip it
All right, so we have 3 to go. Very enthusiastic. I like that.
hot sauce, chili.
I cannot do this. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, so the synopsis of the episode basically reads as some sentient candy floss and marshmallow go and try and deal with a restaurant that is basically running out, and the whole thing being a critique of effectively the swankiness of Cantaloupe, being this 3-hoof rating, or the idea of targeting Michelin stars and trying to be swanky and not being original and having these kind of alright, I'm regretting that.
It's about 40 seconds.
So effectively, they show up, they get sent by the Mac, they want to show up to Cantaloupe and see what kind of friendship problem it is, but they get hungry, so they go into a restaurant, another restaurant, and another restaurant, and it's all same meals. However, they eventually come across a Indian restaurant by the ways, and that is exactly where they find perhaps a friendship problem, which is getting this restaurant to go and compete against all the copycat restaurants all throughout Cantaloupe. Oh my god. But effectively, what happens is that they go in, they try to get a critic to come in and berate the restaurant, but critics got some really weird taste, some really out there thinking about what food should be. And so they try, but then obviously when Pinky thinks that they're going a bit too far with not having any taste in the menu at all, because Verity goes and watches the restaurant while Pinky can't get even a single penny in through the door, they realize that maybe perhaps they need to go and swap places. Things start getting better, and of course they go investigate the restaurant. Lots of cameos from all of the food critics all over. And of course, the food critic that was behind us all comes in, gets snooty and leaves. But doesn't really matter, because it will hurt her social standing if she thinks that we're doing anything when all the other food critics come in. So basically what I like about that episode really is just the fact that, you know, people have their own ways about doing things and we should respect that. Alright, that actually is like 5 million out of 10, so That's like me.
All right, well done. But this sounds really weird for the people on the screen.
People might be getting ASMR.
Yes. All right, we're doing real good. So let's keep it moving for Martin Gray. Come on up. Let's see the turn
Okay, I will take the habanero.
The habanero. All right, come on up here.
A friend of mine, like I was saying back there, he made a version of like a Halloween treat version of these things where he
Right.
filled them with wasabi and made them jack-o'-lanterns.
Yeah, that was like pumpkin. All right, what episode are you reviewing?
I was thinking of a perfect pair.
Okay. All right, we're gonna do 5 minutes on the clock here. Just a moment. Reset. All right, ready? Go.
All right.
My man.
Yeah. The whole thing.
Okay. So Apple Bloom is just kind of wandering around, and she ends up meeting Grandpair, this pony who hasn't been in Ponyville for like ages. And she instantly kind of takes a liking to him, and she ends up getting a serving of pear jam from him. So she ends up coming back, and she finds out that apparently Granny Smith does not like the pear jam, and it turns out that there's been a long time feud between the apples and the pears. But Applejack and Big Mac have no clue about what it's like. They just think it's always been that way. So they decide to, on the down low, sneak around behind Granny Smith's back and find out more. So they go to Goldie Delicious, and running gag, they keep on asking if Granny Smith knows that they're there. And Goldie Delicious ends up setting the stage that their parents were actually the only two of the pears and the apples who didn't fight. But she can't get any more of the story because one of her panthers is sitting on top of the book. So they end up going and they end up looking up apparently Bright Macintosh's best friend growing up, who is Burn Oak. And so Burn Oak tells them that basically they were playing around at one point and they ended up wrecking Grandpa's silo. And originally, Grandpa thought that Pear Butter was going to do it, broke it. But Big Bright Mac ends yeah, I'm all right. Ends up coming clean, and he ends up working to rebuild the silo. And then it turns out that Pear Butter's best friend was none other than Mrs. Cake. And so they end up going to see Mrs. Cake, and she's like, she never knew if it was all right to tell them. And so Mrs. Cake tells them that that they were such good friends that Pear Butter is actually the reason why she got her cutie mark. And so it turns out that Pear Butter, she saw Pear Butter and Bright Mac kind of, going on a date and singing and having fun. And then Granny Smith and Grandpere end up coming in and kind of dragging their respective kids off. And then it turns out that Grandpere was saying that the bears were going to be moving. And so in order to...
You have 45 seconds.
And so it turns out that Mayor ends up marrying Bright Mac and Pear Butter, and when Grandpere comes, he basically does a choose me or stay here, and she chooses. She ends up saying that she doesn't want to choose. And so it turns out that they end up confronting Grandpere. He tells them that he knew who they were.
All right, time's up.
And he makes up with Granny Smith.
Awesome.
Perfect episode, 10 out of 10. I was rambling there, sorry.
Not a bad thing, you're fine.
All right, up next we have Austin D. Seeger.
That's me. Let's go with that.
All right, grab one of these.
Here it comes.
All right, which episode would you like to review?
I was thinking of that episode. She's all yeah.
Okay, good one. All right, 5 minutes on the clock. You may begin. Remember, be gentle. Don't touch your eyes. Be very mindful.
So, you're not told.
Sorry.
Appreciate it. Whew. So, Friendship Academy is going to have their prom or something or other, whatever it's called. And Sambar asks Yona out for it, which she says yes. However, however, Yona is not very familiar with it, so she asks Yona rarely, and was doing sex all around, and as per usual part of the OP thing, song about this and all that. Yeah, I think I did that a little too soon.
All right.
You can do
No
it.
worries, you're doing great.
And eventually they do get together and all that on jazz. However, Yona, being the act she is, kind of starts trampling around and all that. And pretty much kind of ruins about everything. And here. And
You're doing great. These are really tough episodes.
And there were certain dimensions of moving off. Both he and Sambar have a talk. Says that he prefers her to be herself rather than something else. So, they, of course, they both hug. We all love that scene. Let's face it, all time writers love that scene. Finally, both Yona and Sambar go back and other than that, outside. And ends up having a freaking mosh at the end of it. Now, what I love about this episode is that it kind of has a double meaning that Yona was willing to kind of step out of her usual boundaries, like how prideful she was as but was willing to go as far as to try out something new. But at the same time, Sandbar encouraged her just to be herself, which, again, I feel like a lot of people should try and follow that. Example. Because, what's the word? Because being yourself is the important thing. We should always go that far for each other. And I guess if I can kind of hang this a little bit early, Sandbar, my man! Spice is 10 out of 10.
All right, great job. Run that second one there. Thank you. All right, great job. Okay, how's everybody feeling? Good. We got a few more up here. We got a bit of time left here, so.
I need more milk.
Up next we have Petrichor. Come on up. Which pepper would you like?
Habanero! Alright. Might need a difficulty tweak, not sure.
Go ahead and grab one of those.
Alrighty. Anyone ready?
Which episode?
Since I'm more familiar with it, I'm going to be doing a world problem.
Okay, sounds good. Let me get my timer out real quick. Whoops. I forgot to stop it. All right, ready? Yeah. Go.
Wrong. A world problem is fundamentally a tale about introversion and extroversion, how they bring themselves into conflict, and how that conflict can ultimately be resolved with a level of communication and understanding, despite when fundamental differences may exist between personality, which is sort of a core premise to the show. Interestingly enough about it, it is not a show focused originally on Twilight Sparkle, but Starlight Glimmer herself, in Season 5, as a protagonist, Season 7, in a protagonistic role, who is sent by a map, the friendship map, with the shop start Twilight Sparkle for the record, out to solve the friendship problem between Princess Celestia, or should I say the outspoken, driven, very extroverted Princess Celestia, and Princess Luna, the emotional and somewhat withdrawn introvert. Their primary conflict here, the reason why they are sniping at each other, is ultimately due to a lack of recognition. Princess Celestia's actions towards Princess Luna are an intent to engender and foster closeness by providing directions, but her efforts are perceived to be underappreciated because Princess Luna is dead but tired at the time. Meanwhile, Princess Luna's attempts to try and do something nice for Celestia by hanging out lavender all over the place at night is unnoticed because her efforts primarily take place at night when everybody is doing a heckin' big snooze. My God.
You good?
This leads to a grand swap of the cutie marks through a magical mishap, and a day in which they have to act as the other's role, which is when things start seriously going amiss. Luna, thinking it'd be easy to just talk to people and smile a whole bunch, discovers that extroversion and getting out there is hard. Being a negotiator is difficult, fundamentally, because it means having to say the right things at the right time, all the time, at all the place, And even doing something as simplistic as feeling to smile in the appropriate way for a camera shot can mean a huge difference for an entire community. Tweet me. Difficulty tweet me.
Want some water?
Yeah! Princess Princess Celestia, meanwhile, who thinks that the day is going to be relaxing, since it's just a time of channel flipping between dreams.
Man.
Woo, Nelly! It's going, who assumes that her activity is inherently relaxing, discovers the isolation that comes with it, and inherently drains her energy. Because it's not something she's used to, being alone and having to deal with things in solitude. And furthermore, having to act on a fairly deep level to analyze dreams. Even Starlight Glimmer is part of this, who originally had the assumption that she can fix everything with magic, is internally confronted by indecision and hesitation, which is something that she tries to deflect naturally. This comes to a head in a gigantic nightmare scene that illustrates all of the inner negative qualities in them personally, through their dark manifestations, except for Starlight Glimmer. Starlight Glimmer, once seen as a confident, outgoing protagonistic figure, is basically relegated to a bystander's role, where she's unable to resolve a conflict entirely by herself and has to rely on the conflictees to sort things out because of her lack of true confidence. Princess Luna, of course, becomes Nightmare Moon temporarily, or Nightmare Moon shows up in said dream.
40 seconds.
To demonstrate that her seeming introspection can also result towards hatred and fear-induced antagonization towards others. And Celestia, who manifests as Daybreaker, who is awesome, is the embodiment of wanting to have to not deal with extroversion in a way that is conciliatory, but simply take control of the situation and deal with things on her own terms when relating to other people in an authoritarian manner. 3 conflicts, 3 negative traits.
10 seconds.
What?
10 seconds. Oh.
Which all bring together into a conclusion that fixes that divide, bridges that gap, and ultimately sums up the core themes of the show as a whole! Sure, sorry about that.
No worries. All right. Everyone. We've got a few more here. Just a reminder to the folks in the back to keep your masks on if you're not on the stage either. So. Okay.
I need that milk after all, I'm sorry. Bless your heart.
No problem. Yep. All right, up next is Luke Lucas.
Right.
All right. Pepper preference.
Habanero.
Habanero. Got a lot of brave souls today. I like it.
Yeah, but I've been kind of weak, so I'm gonna take a small bite of habanero and just hope I don't die.
Okay. Grab one of those. So which episode are you gonna do?
Am I allowed to review like FM part 1 and 2?
Sure. Yeah.
All right, if we're gonna go with that.
So the very first episode of the show, the 2-parter.
Yeah.
I dig it. All right, go for it.
No, this is nuts. So, oh, this is a mistake. So, FIM part 1 begins with Twilight reading, I don't know what the book's called, but it's talking about the history of Celestia and her sister Luna and their sibling relationship problem, where Celestia basically, I guess, outshines Luna and Luna's kind of forced in her own rights to, like she feels forced to, how do I say this? She's just not as loved as she feels Celestia is. And Luna, I guess she gets kind of jealous, and she gets jealous, and she feels like she's not appreciated. She feels like she's not as appreciated as she deserves. Oh, man, I looked up the scope scale of the jalapeno. It's only 2 to 8,000, and the habanero is 100,000.
Yeah, it's an order of magnitude.
Oh, yeah.
So Luna's kind of jealous of Celestia, and I guess she kind of internalizes that problem until it explodes one day. She becomes Nightmare Moon, and you know, I don't think, thanks to an episode later on in the series where Celestia and Luna's key marks switch, I don't think the problem between Celestia and Luna's relationship has fixed when Nightmare Moon is defeated. Luna simply, I don't know, is friendship back into being nice temporarily until the problem kind of arises again. So she just accepts she's defeated, and okay, I see the head there. So Nightmare Moon,
About half your time left.
it's hard to think with all this spice. Every breath feels like another step to come. Alright, so Nightmare Moon's jealous, Celestia doesn't understand, they, I guess, break out in a fight, and Celestia's forced to send Luna, or Nightmare Moon, to the moon, and I don't know how that feels for Nightmare Moon. I don't know if she like slept for 500 years, I hope it wasn't so painful for her. But she eventually comes back, and Twilight is like the only one who cares about Nightmare Moon's possible return. No other pony, they don't explore that. And so Twilight meets up with all of her friends, and Twilight is kind of reluctant to socialize. She might be an introvert, or she might just be too interested in books or whatever. So she's like, okay, fine, I'm gonna try this thing out and be done with it. And so she meets Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie's shocked that a new pony's in town and rushes to supposedly Twilight's house and basically doxes Twilight to the rest of Ponyville. And Twilight, after that, she meets up with, I think it was Applejack after that. And she's kind of guilt-tricked into eating with the family. I wish they showed us how that went, because that would have been pretty cool to see, kind of. And she's like, okay, who's next? And she's really full, and she gets slammed by Speeding Rainbow Dash. And
You have 30 seconds, by the way.
right, so I can speed this up. She meets all of her friends, and they come together. And from a panel I was in, I attended yesterday, I heard that you can't have honesty without kindness, or else you're just being mean, whether it seems purposeful or not. So all 5 of the elements of harmony, basically moral values, come together and make a spark called magic, or better put, friendship.
Very nice.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we have time for, I think, one more. Sorry we couldn't get through everybody. I will have extra peppers at the end, so if anyone wants to just take on some peppers. Okay, so to wrap things up, I have Cosby and Nebula. Going for the habanero. got one right there.
Someone missed it.
All right, what episode are you gonna review?
The Sonic Rainbow.
Sonic Rainbow is a great one. All right, go.
That's a true time count.
Yeah, it's rolling.
Okay. So the Sonic Rainbow starts with one of the most iconic scenes in the entire series that have been remixed for countless times. That ends with yay. You will hear about that later too. Anyway, so Rainbow Dash was trying to prepare for the Young Flyers competition, where she's planning to do a Sonic Rainbow Man to win the first prize. However, she's having some confidence issues, although she could do all the routines except the Sonic Rainbow. She tried that once and then she got boom all over into, I don't know, half the point of the globe. Anyways, so then she went up to the Cloudsdale and met some of her focus bullies, like one of them is called Dumbbell, the other two are so dumb I don't even remember their names. Anyways, Fluttershy tries to be assertive and said, well, why don't you come and see for yourself, Everfree? So that was how her assertiveness was at the start of the episode. And afterwards, Fluttershy told Twilight and her friends about it, and Twilight decided to use a cloud walking spell so that they all could go up to Cloudsdale and cheer out Rainbow Dash. And Rainbow Dash was like, Star Selection might banish me to the Everfree forest, and because she's gonna perform so badly, but anyway, Rainbow Dash decided to give them all a tour of Cloudsdale anyway. And at Cloudsdale, Rarity, who's got butterfly wings because Twilight decided to give her that, and started to outshine Rainbow Dash, and Rarity got so popular that she decided to enter the Young Flyers competition herself, decided having only wings for a day. Anyway, so the Young Flyers competition started, and Rarity and Rainbow Dash somehow ended up both at the end of the line, and so they had to perform together. Rarity went up with classical music and dance, doing a cloud ballet, while Rainbow Dash is doing her obstacle course with cloud in between.
About half your time.
And eventually, Rarity went up to the sun and did an Icarus and fell to the ground. The captains of the Wonder Boat went down to save Rarity, but Rarity managed to keep all of them out and almost managed to decapitate the entire air force of the Equestria at once. Rainbow Dash pushed down and did a Sonic Rainbow, which is one of the awesomest things in the whole series, and brought them all just about 10 meters of background. And if you know any physics, and trust me, I'm a physics professional, that is totally against the laws of gravity. What should have happened is that all of them got instantly mashed into a pulp. But anyway, they got thrown up to the sky and made a rainbow and dropped down to the strangers. So that's that gave Rainbow Dash laureate and declared her their champion. And they all had and Rainbow Dash managed to hang out with the captains for whatever. So that's the summary of the episode. Can I get an difficulty boost? Okay, now let's progress to the significance of the episode to the fandom at large. As you might know, yay is one of the most iconic songs in the whole series and has been remixed countless times from. You might recognize this too. Yay, 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 yay. That's from Avast Fluttershy's blog. And also there's the old PMV, probably the most
20 seconds.
Are you 20 seconds?
Yep.
Fine, I'll speak to personal significance. I don't really like Rainbow Dash. I'm quite introverted, but Rainbow Dash is brash and extroverted. But some reason after watching that, her awesomeness really impressed me, and she started getting into my dreams, and I kept dreaming about Rainbow Dash. Not like being Rainbow Dash, like if this is not revealed, I would say this one.
Yeah, another 20 seconds, go.
Okay.
Yep. Get it. Okay. Do it.
I also got the cheerleading competition champion, so that's fine with me. Anyway, so after watching that episode, I kept having dreams about Rainbow Dash, not just about Rainbow Dash, but me actually being Rainbow Dash, and that is pretty interesting because my persona is a very pony, but I just dream about being Rainbow Dash. I think it's just got something to my psyche, her freedom, her speed, her awesomeness, her just being herself.
Alright.
Okay, just what's the max score?
5 out of 5.
6 out of 5 because 20% cooler.
Milk for it? No, you're good? Okay. All right, that's our panel. Thank you everybody for coming. Let's do a round of applause.